Yeah,
So,
tell your story, introduce yourself.
right. So my name is Adam. I live in Poland in a beautiful city of Wrocław. And if we are talking about, I'm 29 right now because that you may also find relevant for any of you to relate. And if you really ask me, if you'd ask me, how was my vegan story? When would I pinpoint it on a timeline? Let's say I would. It's all started this whole thing around middle of 2015. And that is the tricky part because in fact, being a strict vegan for me, if we add up all those weeks all together, especially the last period of time, it would be only around 2 or 3 months, to be honest, being strict vegan.
Okay.
And besides that, throughout all those 3 years, it was a gradual process of coming off meat, off dairy, and going into veganism slowly but surely, like having a one meal a week, 2 meals a week with meat. I completely abandoned dairy pretty much. I wasn't using any milk, any sort of cheese, nothing like that whatsoever. So the whole thing, why even I would start considering this healthy diet? The thing is, I've always been very engaged with physical activities, with sport, martial arts, karate, and so on. And also, I found my path in kettlebell training. I was trying to specialize myself in become a kettlebell instruction trainer with a strong first organization, which is also a relevant part. You will hear that in a second. So as everyone else, I wanted just to improve my health, improve my energy levels, to simply regain the strength I had when I was younger. Right, many hours of training and not many health problems whatsoever. So I was raised on a typical diet here in Poland, which is meats, of course, fats, lard, butter, cheese, things like that, but also at the same time some vegetables, lots of potatoes, and also one big thing for me, unfortunate, which I have from my mother, is a big addiction to sweets. But when I was a young guy, the entire mechanism worked pretty well, so I didn't have much problems. I was just eating sweets like crazy and so on, but I still had my meat, dairy, fats, and so on. So I guess it was all fine. So as then I decided, I was moving from like martial arts, started training with weights. I wanted to add some weight on my body, and I went up to around 75 kilo, which would be 165 pounds, around that area. And to get there, I ate whatever I could. I was just stuffing myself with food. And it lasted sometimes some months before I even started to gain weight. That's my metabolism, I guess, and due to my activity. So, but later I found I was not having that much health, not having that much energy in my in tank. So I decided I need to improve it, right? And slowly I was reading, listening about vegetarian diet, maybe not even vegetarian, but vegan right away. And I was thinking, right, because plants are healthy for us, right? This is what we hear all the time from everyone, from every source nowadays. Now, of course, I realize they are full of anti-nutrients, and I right now understand why is it that you have so much digestive problem after eating this shit, especially if you are eating a lot of it. So the story continues that 2015, in the middle of this year, I started slowly to becoming increasing amount of vegetables in my diet. So I had salads with lots of kale, potatoes, and so on. And I was also aware that fat, back then I was aware of those things, that animal fat is actually good for you. So I was putting some butter here and there, eggs, and so on, but no raw eggs. No, never. It wouldn't happen back then. And so my health was just, let's say, it was a draw. I was neither getting better nor getting worse. It was fine, and I was training a lot for my certification, kettlebell certification. And went to Croatia for this certification, and I passed all the exams except one, which was a one-hand kettlebell snatch 100 times in 5 minutes. So that's a weight of 24 kilos, so that is very demanding. And after this certification, I had 3 times to do a retest, just to build up my form and so on. So I was continuing even heavier on my vegetable diet. Everything seemed to be going fine. I went up to like 96 repetitions, clean repetitions within this 5 minutes. So I was very close achieving this goal, and I have like 6 weeks to go still. And also I thought everything is going to be, shine and fine. And right before my exam, like about 2 weeks before that, I was struck with some sort of cold or flu. I don't know what was that exactly. But was so severe, it lasted about 2 weeks, mucus running down my nose all the freaking time, all the time. Now when I look back, I think it was some sort of very strong cleansing reaction, but crazy. And right after it ended, because it ended like about 3 weeks, because before the final deadline for my retest, I literally felt, and I was saying it out loud to everyone, that my brain was reset. Something's freaking happened. My brain is reset. I think I'm detached. My brain is detached from the rest of my body. So okay, of course I failed this examination, failed certification, and I continued afterwards. After this 2 weeks, it was getting a little bit better. I was continuing my diet. And from now on, throughout the 2016, 17, and up to right now, to be honest, because I've been recovering for about 3 weeks right now from this whole vegan agenda. I was continuing on this path of vegetables being healthy for you, and I was getting month after month, gradually I was getting worse and worse, less energy, until, because you often speak with your guests about the physical side of things, what is happening with the body, they are deteriorate, well, yeah.
When were you actually vegan? What year? What did you eat the last 2 years then?
Right. So my veganism story actually, the most strict hardcore veganism was for my last 2 months, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
And in the meantime, it was less and less meat, resulting in bigger and bigger problems all the time. And so, right, month after month after month, I was having problems. So besides any of those problems, physical that people have, and they are mentioning in your interviews, I had big problems with my mood. I was getting like depressed, heavy sort of depressed. Like last month, literally, when I went full fruitarian, right, because of this son of a bitch called Dr. Morse. This guy should be hanged. And so I was going into fruitarian because I was thinking, right, if veganism is good for you, it's healthy, and being a fruitarian is a superb form of veganism, then why not to continue with this sort of eating? Because it should be superior, the best, most electricity in your food, electric charge, electric energy. So especially those last months, I was hearing. It's not even a buzz, but it's sort of like a buzz in your head, and this feeling of being detached from your body, but your mind, yourself, you are being detached from the rest of you. The rest of your body was even more intensified, and the whole thing was. I had those, suicidal thoughts for some months, and there was absolutely no reason for having any of them. I had a good life. Maybe there's also a place for a little clarification, because I was neglecting all my problems with energy, with mood, and so on, because I was having tough times. Really, those 3 last years were personally tough times for me, financially. And I was just thinking it is some sort of a stress that has been like imprinted, installed in my subliminal mind. And just right now I'm seeing the effects of all of this happening on my body and on my psyche and so on. So I was thinking it was just this stress. Um, and by the way, there's also a good information for all of you guys. Even if you are completely broke, you can turn on a dime. You can, within 1 year, you can regain all your confidence, all your, financial stability. So never give up. Life is just a fun roller coaster. But that's a completely different story. I digress. So I was just thinking it's all due to the stress. And so I went on this fruitarian diet. I was even planning to go on this famous Dr. Moore's grape fast, at least go for a month doing grapes. And actually, this is interesting thing because I've never been into it for, I don't know, some sort of religious reasons or for animals or for making better world, nothing like that. I just wanted to make a better health for myself. And the moment I would see it works, I would also start spreading it and actually being an apostle of this diet. But so I was just waiting for the results. And like everyone else in this community, I was thinking, tomorrow is going to be better. I'm detoxing. Tomorrow is going to be better. I'm getting worse shape just to get rid of all the toxins. So tomorrow I'll start building up. Everything is going to be fine, right? It doesn't happen like that at all. So you can also hear stories about some people being vegans for years and years, maybe decades even. But the thing is, so many of them are right now coming off veganism. They're just running away from this whole diet. There's interesting doctor. She's been known. I don't remember the name right now. Someone can Google her. She's known for using turpentine and in body cleanse, yeast cleanse, and so on. And she mentions in an interview she's been vegan for 27 years. Until the moment she almost died because she was so sick and didn't have energy to get up from bed in the morning. So I was having the same problems, to be honest. I was like, wake up after 8 hours of sleep. I couldn't get up, I couldn't start thinking in the next hour. I was just laying down like paralyzed. It's really intensified when I went on a fruit diet. So this doctor actually said she was so sick she couldn't find any cure for it, any fix. And guess what did she do? She ate liver. And she was eating liver continuously for some days. And right now she advocates to anyone to eat liver if they are if they are vegan or doing any sort of plant-based diet. Eat is as much as all your problems go away, like every day, and then like you can start making a doses like once a week, once a month, 2 times a year, and so on, which is ridiculous, right? Eating right food puts you in a correct place. And she just mentions, all right, but then you cut a little bit off on this liver, eat it less. It's like a clear proof the vegetables are not doing the job for you. It is the liver and fat-soluble vitamins, because she also says, because, I found out that liver is actually a vitamin bomb. All those people are just beyond crazy. So she found a cure, and she's not advocating it to be your everyday food, whatever. So right. So all those thoughts. I was having those thoughts like I was like walking on a bridge, let's say, and looking down in the river and thinking, what about if I would jump right now, and so on. What about if I were hit by a car right now? So all those thoughts were coming to me, and I was thinking like, what the fuck is even happening? I have good life, it wasn't best for the last 3 years, but I was able to turn it. The fortune is now like better for me, smiling. And why am I having these thoughts? And I was even starting figuring out at some point, am I fucking possessed? Or some sort. So if there's any vegan watching you right now, just have a deep dive in yourself, have a great insight, a moment, maybe contemplate about it. What's happening, if the same thing is happening for you and any other people in your vegan communities, because we are going into those spiritual realms, spiritual talks and so on, because they are trying to justify what is happening with them. And just to be honest, I about spiritual life, I think this thing is for real. There are many things, interesting things happening to me and others around, but it's a completely different topic. But this what I had was not a spiritual thing. It was 100%. Right now, I can see it was like deficiency related, because after I was eating meat and butter and cheese, like first 48 hours when I broke this veganism shit, this veganism fast for the body, within 48 hours everything was gone. This buzz I had in my head was gone. Those thoughts, suicidal thoughts, were gone. This feeling of being detached from my body, like greatly reduced. What else was this profound change? I'm talking about like first for 48 hours, like after a few days of eating lots of butter, lots of cheese, I caught myself walking down the street, on my way to work and back, just smiling, like absolutely for no reason. And you also, Spiria, have those videos that eating meat will make you happy and so on. And I want to tell you guys, all of you, and I'll also give you because I know what it's happening, why it's happening, what agenda is pushed, and where does it come from. And I'll tell you just in a second. I have a great quote. And so I was thinking at first like eating meat, raw meat. I'm not eating like 100% raw, but at least a raw meal a day. That's a great start right now. Eating raw, seeing blood, thinking that blood is your food will turn you into a crazy psychopath, right? You are going to be bloodthirsty son of a bitch, looking at other people like source of food, and so on. But the thing is the quite opposite. You are becoming a better person, a better, well-rounded person, more balanced. So here we are at the crossroad where it all starts to fit in, because this whole thing about mood, about me training with weights, about where does it come from, all those things tie into one quote. There's a guy called Pavel Tsatsouline. He's a Russian, well-known in weightlifting and fitness industry. This guy, back during the Cold War, he was a PT, a physical training instructor in the Russian army, Soviet army, and also he was training with Spetsnaz and so on. So he knew all the special ops guys as well. He was training with them. And then in 90s, he moved to US and has been living in the US ever since. And his nickname is the father of modern kettlebell, because he introduced the kettlebell back again, starting in late 90s and so on. That's why you know about kettlebells, because of this guy. And he has a quote, because he always says he's not into nutrition. He's not a nutrition guy. He's all about physical training, getting best out of your trainings, improving your performance, strength levels, endurance, and so on. And in his book in 2000, written in 2001, Bulletproof Abs, he has a Q&A section in the end, answering to many various questions he received earlier. And there's also a question about food, nutrition, and he says this. I'll be translating it because I have only the Polish version of this book, so I'll be translating it on the fly into English. He goes like this: putting, and it is just, this quote is pure gold. So he says, putting carbs aside and having a steak will turn you into a more happy and balanced person. And then a few sentences later, he continues saying, and listen to this: high carb, low protein diet has been designed to manipulate your serotonin and other neurotransmitter levels. Full stop. Next sentence. It was an inherent part of the brainwashing program. End of quote.
What program?
Whatever brainwashing program. Like, because he was mentioning later on all the tortures that KGB and other spec ops would do to people in captivity.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends it, so like some sort of tortures, I don't remember, but brainwashing being one of them. And he ends it with this sentence, which is just priceless. So I quote: "So rice cakes and Cheerios have a very, very interesting companionship, don't they?" End of quote. Companionship meaning all those torture activities. So nothing new under the sun. KGB, all of those social engineers, all those people who are trying to manipulate, who are developing mind control programs, those people have known that for decades. So it's nothing new under the sun. If KGB, if it was a known protocol for KGB, but if we capture someone, we want to brainwash that person, we go high carb, low protein, protein. So right now it comes from a book that was written 17 years ago. It was not about nutrition subject whatsoever. It was just his thought of this guy who was working during Cold War times. So isn't that, if that doesn't make you think, I'm starting to doubt what will. And you want to know the funniest part?
Yeah.
I knew those quotes before I went full on veganism, and I was still having this quote in the back of my head, and I was still I still thought it's worth giving a try, this whole veganism. And stupid me, right? But I was still wanted to give it a try, and as I mentioned to you before, the moment I see any progress, any health benefits, I would also be advocating this diet to everyone. So I was I was a guinea pig. I was doing a test on myself pretty much. So fortunately, I wasn't talking too much about it all around. I wasn't pushing people into it, and fortunately, my results of this test are pretty much conclusive. If you go vegan, if you go full fruitarian, you're going to just go crazy, and you're going to think you are possessed when you are not, and all those thoughts, where they are coming from, like as if there was some different entity in my body. Just go high fat, it will all be gone within days, but it's pretty much it, and it's profound. Now, things that may be interesting also for your viewers. What is actually happening? What are the problems I was having besides those psychological problems?
Could you firstly clarify what you ate from 2015? How you reduced the meat?
Yeah, so it was lots of salad, lots of grainy stuff, like bread. Also, I was baking like my own sort of cake with lots of seeds and so on. It's kind of tasty with plums and so on. It's kind of tasty, but heavy food. There's a lot of seed in such a loaf of cake. And later, because I was quite hungry, as to be expected. So later I went on into McDougall style. McDougall is the guy who advocates going full on starch. He says screw everything because actually potato is a superfood, and you can be living entirely off this potato for you throughout your whole life. So I was eating more rice, more potatoes, and so on. And once you start implementing lots of foods, especially vegetables, no, not vegetables, because I had stories with all of them, vegetables, starches, and fruits, and I will tell you them in a moment. So once you start incorporating those things, you will see some things changing for worse. So I'll give you an example. I have a breakfast, lots of kale with olive oil, some sort of seeds and so on, right? And later during this day, I would eat a lunch, and it was actually pork chops, because that was this one meal I was having, you know. So I had a kelp and vegetables in the morning, then pork chops during the day, and some other stuff. And I wake up in the middle of the night, 12 p.m. So it was 14 hours after my breakfast, and I rush into toilet. You know, I'm just feeling so dizzy. I'm about to throw up. So I'm ending in the toilet. I'm throwing up, and guess what left my body? It was only the fucking kelp. So every doctor who tells you that meat stays in your stomach for hours, and fruits and veggies go right away. You know, I don't believe anything coming from vegan doctors, because those sons of bitches are lying left and right all the time. So I can tell you even about the diet. They are lying. There is no. They often refer to Okinawans, but Okinawans they are eating vegan diet. So what surprise, when I landed in Okinawa in 2014 vacation trip, you know what's the national food, what they are boasting? What is the national pride? It is the pork. There are souvenirs all over the place, like a little plastic rubber pork, rubber pigs that you can squeeze them, and they are just like oinking and so on, because they are proud of it. It's all about pork in there. If you are going to a restaurant or a bar, there's tons of pork. And even when I was training martial arts, Okinawan Goju Ryu Karate, that comes from Okinawa. I was seeing interview. I saw interview with Morio Higaonna Sensei, the biggest master, best guy ever. I met him 2 times, and he was in this interview. He was asked about the food, and he said, "Oh yeah, pork, excellent. Now I'm older and I eat more vegetables." He doesn't know it's a kind of bad idea. But he was eating pork throughout his life, and if you know more about martial artists coming from Okinawa and Japan in general, those people are aging like wine. They are getting better with every decade. So they are going full on with their bodies, full training, very stressful training for the body. Very demanding, extremely demanding, to be honest, especially in their climate. And they are going with this training, with this regime throughout their entire life, and they are getting better with every decade. Instead of say basketball player who is expiration date is 35 year old. That's the end of the career for this guy. And for martial artists, for real sensei, it's about 55, 60, 70s. And that's the moment when they see that actually they abused their galenke. That's about the moment when they see they abuse their joints and so on. So that's pretty much moment they have problems kicking in. But besides that, they are superior. So those guys eat meat. So since I knew that, those vegan doctors keep on telling it. There's vegans, there is 7-day, what they are called, this
Adventist
society. Yeah, they are vegans. Man, who's selling you this crap? They are lying left and right. You just say, check. I check what this motherfucker... Sorry. I check what this guy was actually preaching. People should be checking it all the time. But I guess, I cannot understand that people can get lost in this whole agenda, because it's pushed everywhere. It seems like, all right, and you see all those athletes, the vegan athletes. I'm about to give you an interesting story about vegan athletes, because I was also having in the back of my head example of my colleague who is also athlete, vegan athlete. He's strong. He's have lots of muscle. But the fact is, he should be called Mr. Not like Mr. Vegan, but Mr. Powder, because his whole life is on powders. He's, downing pounds after pounds of protein and so on. That's when all your vegan athletes get their strength from and muscle size from. Never trust vegan athletes, because all those people rely on the body and on the performance. So guess what's going to be involved? Lots of supplements and a syringe up in your ass, up in your, I don't know, pecs, biceps, whatever, because they need to stuff themselves with testosterone and some other stuff. What I'm saying, they're using doping, like every bodybuilder, like every athlete, because that's where the money comes from, right? They they are not genuine. They are not 100% vegans, fruitarians, nothing like that. Otherwise, they would be yeah, will be getting worse and worse with time. And there's also and so that is one side of thing. And the second side of thing, why you shouldn't trust all those athletes, vegan athletes, and especially celebrity internet athletes. Those guys, all those people are completely fake. There's a very well-known fitness couple here in Poland. And I know a person because right now they are going through some problems about the money, something inside the family is going on, some quarrel. And I know a person who is close to them, and those people are 100% fake. Everything they do, everything they say, everything they post is scripted by PR company. And for some of you it may sound obvious, but it's not. You need to hear this fact that they are scripted from the beginning to an end. It can look, even pictures they are posting, they are fake. They are stock pictures. You go to a website when there are stock pictures of whatever, like food. It may be a Sunday morning, and they may be just laying down in bed for hours until noon. Those lazy suckers. But suddenly around 10 a.m. you will see a picture. Oh, we are right now eating this and that in a restaurant, like, I don't know, sushi plate or salad plate, whatever. And those are fake things being posted by the PR companies. So before you trust any like vegan gains and so on, all those idiots, if you see they have like 100,000, 200, 300,000 subscribers, they are not people, they are product. So that's what you are so easily fooled into it, because you are trusting a marketing product, and marketing is nothing else but a sort of mind control to make you do something, to make you buy something, to make you believe into something, and so on. And also that's related with the latest video you had, Sviliga, not so long ago with this Asian girl and her breakfast. And you were like, you had to retrace your video, right? Because of rights, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that. Yeah. And I went to her profile, and when I saw she has 300,000 subscribers, I know she's not a genuine person. She's a business. She's literally a business. So never trust anything coming from her. I also saw her latest video. Like, it's like, what am I doing? What does a typical day look like in my life? Something like that. It was 1,000 times more hilarious than what she eats. She's just ridiculous. A total mind control, brainwash program. Okay, so but I digress. Going back to all these things, high carb diet, low protein, high carb, low protein diet is here for a reason. It's been known to screw people's mind and to screw people's sanity. And if you see Bill Gates pushing it, if you see mainstream media pushing it, you literally want to turn away and go the opposite direction, because that's what's proven to be best since like the beginning of this whole thing.
Did you take any supplements in those 2-3 months when you actually went vegan?
I took supplements in 2015 when I was preparing for the certification for the kettlebell training, and it was spirulina. It was some form of magnesium, and some like green powders, one or two more. I don't recall it. But later, I was pretty much, I didn't have any supplement regime. I was thinking, if the diet is good, it should just be enough. And I was getting worse and worse, so I was experimenting with fruits. Like last year, like a full month, not full month. It was like 3 weeks on fruit and so on. I was feeling better somehow. Then, but that was also due to the fact I wasn't hydrated, and also to the fact that for some people it takes time really to crack down on this diet. I'm fortunately I am the example of a guy who really all my problems kicked in really early. So I wasn't waiting like years and decades like other people do. It was just like those 3 years, and when I went full on vegan for those months, for the few months, it was really tough for me. So it is fortunate for me because I don't continue this unhealthy story for years, but some people continue it for years and decades and so on, and I may be guessing how it's possible. So I would say it's just the storage, just something from they have when they were raised up by their wiser parents, feeding them with milk, meat, and so on. And right now, vegans have those ups and downs. So they feel better. They have like better week, better month. So when the body starts to gets into a pocket of nutrients. That's what that's my guess. Let's say your body has a storage all over the place, and there's a big pockets of vitamins somewhere, and your body starts to digest it, so you feel better for a week, better for a month, and then this reservoir is dry, you don't have any more, and you go sluggish one more time, and so on. So it's all, as you mentioned, it's all a very slow form of cannibalism on yourself. And I think that's what keeps people going for months and so on. If they don't go on supplements whatsoever, like I did, maybe they will see the negative results way sooner. But as we all know, it's all about supplements. This industry is about, you gotta have kelp in powder, in best possible ground down powder form. You gotta have wheatgrass powder form, of course, from God knows from where, very organic. You gotta have spirulina, algae. What else do they use? I don't know, but you can name it probably. So it's all about this industry. And
what do you think is gonna happen with veganism?
It is being pushed. It is being pushed a lot, and I'm afraid it's going to hold its ground. If we give ourselves like 10 more years, we will see a rampant staggering number of people being very sick and linking it to veganism, actually. So in about 10 years, people will start waking up. But will that mean that in the next decade, after this, the veganism will be completely gone, or maybe it will be just too late to turn it back? It's hard to tell, but I know it's been pushed for a reason. The reason I stated, because high carb, low protein is an inherent part of any brainwash program. It's been known. It's nothing good coming out of it. But fortunately, due to the internet, for example, thanks to you, because you are pretty much the guy that helped me out and put me on the right path. I have to be honest, you are the man. I'm just wondering, how many death threats do you receive like every month from those vegans? Do you receive any of them?
A few.
Just a handful? Man, not enough. We gotta spread the word. We gotta spread the word. So knowing the origins of the high carb, low protein diet, it is here for a reason, and it's going to be pushed. It's going to be pushed for a long time. And what I was saying. But thanks to the internet and you, for example, people are waking up, and it is like a snowball effect. It's like, let's say, it's like a 9/11. So people at the beginning would not believe that it was an inside government job. How it's possible. But right now, who even would have come with such an idea? But right now, in the last like 5 years, So after being dormant, this whole subject, being dormant for 11 years, like not many people mention about it, this last 5 years, it's like everyone knows about it, right? Like it's like no longer a taboo anymore. So my guess is the same thing is going to happen with veganism. We are going to have a really tough decade of veganism and all the damage being done by it. But afterwards, like next year's will be the spreading of the real knowledge, the real health will be so rampant, happening, the snowball effect. But it's going to take like about 5-10 years to maybe take more than half of people off of it once again. But in general, I think we can survive veganism, this whole thing, but it's not the biggest problem. The bigger problem is I think that by this time, where people will realize that veganism was just a fad and a healthy fad, by this time there will be huge problem with the farming, and the whole farming industry will switch to plants whatsoever, and all the animal products, all the animal production will be greatly reduced, and we will just wake up having not enough food for all of us. Because the business and agriculture will go one way, not the other way. And that may be even more scary for us, those food shortages, meaning that even if you like having raw food, raw milk, raw eggs, you will need to stick to some, like at least 50% of your diet is going to be plants, whether you like it or not. So turning this will take like another decade or two. Yeah, so, right. Oh, sure. Another example of how stupid I was. An example of what can you expect being on a on a plant-based diet, because I forgot to mention it. So get this. My grandmother, she lived up to 94, and she was her entire life she was 100% brain capable of clear thinking and so on. No problems with her senses, right? Hearing. She had a little problem with hearing, but it's neglectable. Eyesight, sense of touch, thinking, sense of smell, everything was working fine. She had energy, even if she was able to go up and down the stairs. When she went into garden, she would just, immediately start doing something, with the plowing earth, soil, or anything like that. Unbelievable. Many people were baffled. Well, how is possible that a person in her age can write excellent letters like she did? Very, very insightful and so on. And her diet throughout her entire life, all I can remember was the beginning of the day was this: scrambled egg on butter. Fat, animal meat, all lifelong, with some potatoes and stuff like that. A little bit vegetables, not too much. Pickles, sauerkraut, and so on. So that was her life, and she was doing fine on it. And she has 6 kids. Show me a vegan who can give birth to 6 kids. And what does this person is going to look like afterwards? And also my other grandma, she has 7 kids. So I have pretty huge family, as you can tell, lots of uncles, and they are all. Everywhere is the same story. They all recall my mother, aunts, grandparents. They all recall the same story, which was going to a farm once in a while, having eggs, milk, meat. That's what's been happening, what's been going on throughout the entire lives, and they're all fine. And just one information, because about milk, right? For instance, I don't have that much. I still have some problems with raw milk, even if it's untouched by any sort of temperature or anything like that. I still have. It looks like I have problems with lactose and so on. But it's still very good. If I sip like a glass or so, it's good enough. Is it going to like change in your experience, this lactose intolerance?
It should.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so also, so going back to my little problems when I was on plant-based diet, it was like that. So this one kelp story, when I woke up in the middle of the night throwing out only kelp, so everything goes through you, no problem. Meat goes through you, no problem. It's the vegetables that are congesting your digestive system and so on. That is the problem. So I had this banana breakfast as a fruitarian, so I had 7 bananas. So it's not like nothing for fruitarians, right? Because they're eating like about 12, 14, 15 bananas. That's their meal usually. Uh, Unbelievable amounts of food, which is interesting. And so I had those 7 bananas, and 1 hour later I need to throw it up. I ended up in the bathroom, just 2 fingers down my throat. I needed to throw it up because I was feeling just so sick, so bad. I had this problem with the stomach. So this very benevolent banana turned out to be quite malevolent. Interesting. And the other story about starch. Let's say I was eating rice a whole day, just white rice, with nothing to it. And but it had very much McDougall style, right? Going full starches. And by the end of the day, I pretty much poofed myself a little bit. Crazy, And this what was coming out of me was it was like white and transparent, as if I was getting rid of the starch itself. So that also tells you something, right? Tells you a story. Is this really good for you or not? Well, man, all the problems I had, very, very little problems, neurological. Let's say I was losing control in my arm, in my palm. So I had problems with controlling mouse or typing on keyboard. I was feeling like my fingers were getting a little bit stiff, and I was losing control. I was losing speed, how fast I could type or maybe click here and there. I found myself dragging my right foot, sometimes for no reason, like I was dragging it for a few steps, and it was happening more often and more often and more often. Like, what is going on? And of course, the thing that they keep you telling all the time is you are just detoxing yourself. So it's just the bad stuff coming to your bloodstream, and that's why you're experiencing all those things, because you're about to expel those things. You're about to get rid of them. Yeah. And other things, like, for example, I have problems with speaking sometimes. I started calling it lazy tongue. My tongue was losing its muscular tone. Maybe I still have some problems with it, I would say even. And this feeling of my mind being detached from the body was with me all the time. I was speaking even out loud to my parents and to some colleagues about it. Nothing fun. So you see all those little neurological problems. And if you have a neurological problem, that is a problem, in fact, a big time, because we are all governed by our electrical system in the body, right? So we are governed by our nervous system. So whatever is happening wrong with it, you can pretty much expect that throughout time is going to influence your entire body. This is it. Pretty much, I don't know even what quite to add, but just all I would say to all the guys, all the vegans, is just really have an insight of what is happening to you and people around you, because those people have fake smiles. They say they're all healthy, but at the same time they are skinny as hell. They are full on various supplements. So it's all lies upon lies, just to because if you suddenly go off veganism, then what? You are no longer saving planet. You are a psychopath, killing others, meaning animals. That is a pretty much line of thinking, right? I think that's my observation. I don't know if that's yours, Spielger.
sure, pretty much.
So you cannot go off of it because publicly, because they are going to stone you to death and just pretty much execute you. So just at least be honest with yourself and with others around you who may be having this fake smile, but in fact experiencing huge health problems, and just reach out to them, thinking, saying, try it on yourself, go full fat, lots of fat, even if you have gone that far, but you cannot tolerate thinking about eating meat, then at least just go full on animal fat, at least for some time. See the results, and then you will be able, you will be convinced that meat is also good as well, and you will be able to make the step and be observant, look into others, because you have no idea if they are having suicidal thoughts right now, if they are making necessary steps to commit suicide, and because you never know. The story is always the same. No one knew he was having bad days, right? No one knew this is happening, right? Why that person would do it. Be very observant, because this diet is going to drive you mad, and right now we know why, right? Because it's been going on in camps and KGB torture cells and so on. It's been once again, it's been designed to manipulate your serotonin and neurotransmitter. It is what it is.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, many thanks as well.